Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Now, today I wanted to take a closer look at the system that CAG wants to introduce to encourage org versus org gameplay. This was a part of the presentation that I wanted to rewatch because the system is kind of interesting to me. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about what Star Citizen Endgame is going to look like. And it seems that it's going to be pretty involved, from crafting to base building to even owning space stations. And these are not small stations, these are pretty involved. So I guess this system is designed to encourage players to find a way to protect their assets. Essentially, you spent all this time looking for valuable resources and creating a base and setting that up to become essentially influential within the player economy. That is assets that you're going to want to protect. So I believe the idea behind this system is that there is some type of integrated security in Pyro and Nix that, well, basically they outlined this in Pyro, but it could be in Nix. I'm not sure. It's definitely not going to be in Stanton, Castra, or Terra. But this is going to essentially mean that there's some type of security network in Pyro that players can fight over so they can protect their assets in that star system. So I want to re-watch this portion of the presentation and try to see if we could get a better idea of what this system actually is going to be like. Okay, so let's hop right in.
With crafting now requiring resources, you're going to want to create bases to mine and extract them. This is where base raiding will become a new form of PvP, and it's founded on a combined arms ethos.
Okay.
Defending players will be able to add defenses such as walls, automated turrets, and most importantly, ground shields, a localized version of the planetary shields used in lawful systems that absorb the most powerful of weaponry. No longer can you just turn.
Okay, so I'm going to stop right there for a second. Okay, so ground raids are going to be a thing. Obviously, a large org builds a base on a planet. They have a lot of resources and assets that players are going to want. And just like, pirating a ship, you're going to want to pirate another player's base. This is a fundamental pillar of any type of sandbox MMO game where, you look at games like Rust, where the players build bases and other players come in and try to smash up the base and steal what they can. So this is obviously going to happen. Essentially, what CIG is saying here, that you will be able to build fortifications at these bases where you have walls and turrets and shields, which is a smaller version of seals in higher security systems. So in higher security systems, you're going to have essentially like, shielding on your land claims to kind of protect it. Essentially, what CIG has said is that in high security systems, these land claims will essentially be next to invulnerable. They will still be able to be attacked, but just not destroyed, and security will fly in to protect your assets, but you have to pay taxes. Essentially, in a non-lawful system, these shields will be able to go down, and attacking players will be able to essentially, break up your stuff, destroy things, and essentially wreak havoc. So let's keep going.
Turn up and drop a Moab.
Which is good. Again, you're probably going to have to, try to maybe sneak your way into their base to turn off their shields. Maybe that might come in with, hacking gameplay as well. Kind of infiltrate the enemy base, turn off their shields, and then drop a Moab bomb. that could really lead to some very interesting emergent situations. Again, I'm really excited about this part of 1.0 and the end game, the whole picture that CAG is trying to paint here.
One huge difference, though, compared to planetary shields, is that these shields can be disabled.
Okay.
You'll have to strategically assess.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was thinking is going to be the situation. Is disabling these shields are going to be key if you want to infiltrate these locations.
Each base and punch your way through its defenses on foot to eventually bring down the shield generator. Once the shield is down, then you have options. You want to raise it to the ground, you can bomb it from the air. If you want to extract all the resources, though, you'll need to infiltrate the base using explosive charges and hacking while fighting off the defenders. Now, both piracy and base raiding is founded on sandbox gameplay. And again, that's the essence of Star Citizen. But we want to add more. Something where you can
Okay, so this is where things really get interesting and they go into the deeper system.
log on and immediately find the action and fight for a purpose.
Okay.
So first up, let's go on a history lesson. In the early 2600s, there was a fledgling corporation called SEAL that had developed a new system-wide planetary shield technology, the same technology that will provide protection for your bases today. To prove this tech, they wanted to use Nyx and Pyro systems as a testbed.
Okay, so like I figured, they're using Nyx and Pyro and SEAL defense tech. They make shields for bases and whatnot. Okay, so this will also be coming to Nyx as well. That's good to know.
With the promise of high-quality resources, SEAL lured independent miners to man the shield network in exchange for shield protection for their settlements. As a prototype, SEAL couldn't provide total coverage over all the mining settlements, and so they created the SEAL Tokens program, allowing the most industrious factions to purchase shield coverage for their work. The network consisted of multiple linked bases on the ground that then linked to several stations in orbit around each planet that then connected to the nearest relay in the shield network, which eventually linked.
So that's pretty interesting. You have base stations, you have space stations, and then you have relays in space. Okay.
Back to the shield core, which oversaw system-wide distribution of the shield technology. Factions could then earn SEAL tokens for working on any part of the network. They could then use these tokens to buy shield coverage. But with the competition amongst factions being so intense, SEAL was only able to offer shielding to the hardest workers. Unfortunately, due to outlaw interference, SEAL eventually pulled out of Pyro and Nyx and pushed for a more automated solution in more civilized systems. So fast forward to present day, without SEAL's backing, they had to pull out and leave it as it is. And welcome to station warfare. With the SEAL network still in place, but lacking resources, orgs can take ownership of these structures to gain access to planetary shield tech, which, as you know, would make their base.
Okay, so I'm going to pause there for a second. So there is essentially, just like the Karma Array network, a network of stations and bases that cover specific regions of space or of the planet, excuse me. And when you control these, then you can get coverage for your base.
Unfortunately, there's a catch. There isn't enough to go around. And as in the good old SEAL days, the system still works via the SEAL token program. To earn tokens, you'll have to assault a location and then deposit resources to power the network. This begins with ground bases and ends at the shield core. Each structure occupied will then accrue SEAL tokens over time, with larger structures earning more And at the end of each week, you must then use these tokens to purchase shield protection. With shield coverage being limited, though, the system automatically selects the orgs with the highest bid from across all shards. Meaning for that week only, a certain number of orgs will gain access to shield protection.
Okay, so I understand what the goal is, but how you go about it to me is still a little gray. So this is my current understanding of what he's trying to explain here. You have a base on a planet, right? And you have physical security for this base, like walls, turrets, and a shield around the base. This shield around the base is separate from this overarching system. So this system is additional shield coverage that orgs can fight over. So essentially, it works through a network of bases on the surface of planets, stations in space, and the shield core. What you do is you go and you essentially hold these stations or fight over these stations, whatever. And when you win these stations, you get tokens. And you put those tokens in the shield core and it protects your base. Maybe there is a credential system where it knows what org is holding it. Because that is kind of my first question is, how does it know what org has control of the location? Is it tied to a specific player that has to essentially like, because you know there are some like capture the flag type situations, base control situations where you have to like have someone stay in a certain area and there's a timer until you essentially take over control of that region. If it's some type of system like that where you have to assault the station or base and just hold it for long enough time until the timer goes out and then you control it. I don't know if how that system is going to work specifically, but it kind of sounds like you have to maintain control of these bases, and then the longer you control the base, the more tokens you get towards paying into shield protection. So maybe you don't have to hold it the entire time. Maybe it's like you get a shield token for holding this location for like 5 minutes. Like it's every 5 minutes you get one shield token for holding this base. So let's say you want to play for like an hour, then you go to this base, you hold control of it for an hour, and you get 10 tokens or something like that, and you do that throughout the week until you control this location. Again, this is just kind of, I'm just trying to work through it to understand how that gameplay actually looks. But let's keep going.
So this is a chance for your org to become the de facto leader of a system. It means you'll be able to log on and immediately find the action and fight for your org. And finally, it's not just sandbox PvP or ganking. You are fighting for a purpose. So once you have won your bid, what then? Well, to talk more about that, I'd like to welcome Ian Leyland, Star Citizen's creative director, to the stage.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, so it kind of seems like they just moved on from that segment and they went into player space stations. I have no idea how player space stations work into this system. But yeah, I guess you can summarize the whole thing into, there is a company that provides shield service. You can fight for that shield service by controlling stations and ground outposts. The longer you control those stations or ground outposts, you will get paid into tokens. You can use those tokens to pay into the Shield core network, and the orgs that are able to do this, they will get shield protection for that week. I think that CIG will have to go into more detail about how that actually looks like, but I think it's an interesting concept. I think that maybe it needs to be fleshed out a little bit more. I know that a lot of people listening to that part of the presentation were kind of wondering how that would really play into things. How important is it really? Like, if I am an org owner and I build a medium-sized outpost on a planet, and I have turrets, and I have walls, and I have people protecting the base, and I have shields even, will I need this protection, or will my shields be good enough? Or maybe it's a type of thing where this planetary shield protects my base when I'm logged out. That will be kind of an interesting scenario, because again, in Stanton, if you buy a land claim, you're paying taxes, so that property is invulnerable. But in Pyro, you're not paying taxes, no one's protecting this. So maybe this shield network is kind of a way to protect your base while you're offline. Again, I don't know, that's just speculation from my standpoint, but I want to know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you guys think of this system? What do you guys think that it's going to be like in action? Are you guys excited about kind of more org versus org gameplay? I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. I love talking to you guys. You guys have been killing it in the comment section underneath the videos. I've been trying to reply to everybody. Some really interesting ideas, especially on my last video about insurance. I'm excited by the direction that this game is going in. It is obvious that CIG wants to bring the content with crafting, base building, space stations, as we're about to see, but I want to save that stuff for a future video. So that's going to be it for me here in this video, you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Like I say at the end of all these videos, you guys, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Salut.